Have you ever felt invisible in your relationships? Like your presence didn't matter, your achievements went unnoticed, or your voice wasn't heard? These moments can shake your confidence, leaving you questioning your worth. But here's the truth. Your value is not defined by how others treat you. It's defined by how you treat yourself. In this episode, we're diving deep into the subtle ways relationships can make us feel unwelcome or overlooked, and more importantly, how to change that. Inspired by Stoic philosophy, we'll explore practical strategies to navigate these challenges with grace, confidence, and strength. Whether it's dealing with indifference, feeling excluded, or facing constant criticism, you'll learn how to reclaim your power, set boundaries, and foster healthier, more respectful connections. Because here's the thing, you deserve to be valued, not just by others, but by yourself. And when you start showing up for yourself, the world begins to take notice. So, if you've ever struggled with feeling unappreciated or unseen, this episode is for you. Let's dive in and uncover the steps to reclaiming your self-worth and transforming your relationships. 1. Indifference to your presence. Shift the dynamic. Cultivate respectful relationships. It's an unsettling feeling, walking into a room or joining a conversation only to realize your presence seems unnoticed. Moments like these can leave you questioning your worth and role in your relationships. But here's the truth. Your value doesn't diminish because someone else fails to recognize it. Still, when indifference becomes a recurring pattern, it's natural to wonder if you can influence how others perceive you while preserving your relationships. The answer is yes, and it starts with shifting the dynamic. When you feel invisible in a relationship, the first step is to acknowledge your emotions without judgment. Feeling hurt or unappreciated doesn't mean you're overly sensitive. It means you care. But instead of letting these emotions spiral into resentment, channel them into constructive action. Begin with self-respect. When you carry yourself confidently, people naturally take notice. Think about the last time you met someone whose energy and presence filled a room. They didn't demand attention. They simply exuded self-assurance. This is the kind of quiet confidence you can cultivate. Start by prioritizing activities that make you feel empowered, whether it's pursuing a hobby, learning a new skill, or simply taking time for self-care. The more grounded you feel within yourself, the less external validation you'll need, and paradoxically, the more others will be drawn to your presence. Next, communicate with clarity and intention. Sometimes, people's indifference stems from unawareness, not malice. Share your perspective without blaming or accusing. For example, if you feel excluded in a family setting, you might say, "I'd love to be more involved in our plans. Let me know how I can contribute." This approach is both assertive and collaborative, inviting others to see your value without creating unnecessary tension. At the same time, lead by example. If you want to be acknowledged, start by acknowledging others. Show genuine interest in their lives, celebrate their successes, and offer your support. When you model the behavior you hope to receive, you set a standard for mutual respect. Over time, this can shift the dynamic in subtle but meaningful ways. However, it's equally important to set boundaries. If someone's indifference persists despite your efforts, recognize that their behavior reflects their limitations, not your worth. Focus on relationships that uplift you, not those that drain your energy. You deserve to surround yourself with people who value your presence, not take it for granted. Lastly, redefine what recognition means to you. True self-worth isn't about being noticed. It's about knowing you matter, even in silence. When you stop chasing external acknowledgement, you free yourself to focus on what truly fulfills you. And here's the irony. When you value yourself first, the world often follows suit. Remember, your presence has power, whether others recognize it immediately or not. The way you carry yourself, the energy you bring, and the contributions you make all leave an impact, sometimes quietly, but always profoundly. Respect begins with you. When you honor your worth and act with confidence, you invite others to do the same. If they don't, that's their loss, not yours. 2. Minimal inclusion in plans. Take initiative and redefine your role. Few things sting as much as realizing you've been left out of plans made by friends, family, or colleagues. That sinking feeling of being excluded can leave you questioning your place in their lives. But here's the truth. Your worth isn't measured by whether or not you're invited. It's about how you respond when you're not. Instead of dwelling on the exclusion, focus on how you can shift the dynamic and take control of your involvement. First, understand that exclusion isn't always intentional. People often act out of habit, convenience, or oversight, not necessarily with malice. Recognizing this can help you detach emotionally and see the situation more objectively. Once you've grounded yourself, take a proactive approach. Become the initiator. If you notice a pattern of being left out, start suggesting plans or organizing gatherings yourself. This shows others that you're invested in spending time together and subtly encourages inclusion. For example, instead of waiting to be invited to a group outing, propose an idea that everyone can enjoy, like a dinner, a hike, or even a casual coffee meetup. When you take the lead, you shift from being a passive participant to an active creator of shared experiences. At the same time, communicate your desire for inclusion clearly but calmly. If you feel comfortable, you might say something like, "I'd love to be part of the next outing. Let me know how I can join in." This not only expresses your interest, but also gently reminds others to be more mindful in the future. Often people simply aren't aware of how their actions, or lack thereof, might affect you. Another key strategy is to focus on fostering deeper connections. Sometimes being excluded stems from shallow or surface-level relationships. By strengthening one-on-one bonds within the group, you naturally become a more integrated part of their plans. Show genuine interest in others' lives, ask thoughtful questions, and be present during interactions. Over time, these efforts can transform casual acquaintances into close, dependable friends. However, it's also crucial to recognize when exclusion is a recurring, intentional pattern. If certain individuals consistently leave you out, despite your efforts to connect, it may reflect their priorities, not your worth. In such cases, redirect your energy toward relationships that reciprocate your efforts and value your presence. Your time and emotional investment are precious. Don't waste them on people who fail to see that. Finally, build a life that doesn't hinge on others' plans. While inclusion feels good, your happiness and fulfillment should never depend entirely on external invitations. Invest in hobbies, passions, and activities that bring you joy independently. When you create a fulfilling life for yourself, others are naturally drawn to your energy, and invitations often follow. Remember, you're not a passive observer in your relationships, you're an active participant. By taking initiative, communicating your needs, and valuing your time, you can turn feelings of exclusion into opportunities for connection and growth. If others don't meet you halfway, let that be their limitation, not a reflection of your value. You deserve to be included, but even more importantly, you deserve to thrive, whether or not you're invited. 3. Lack of interest in your life. Share confidently and foster genuine connections. There's something uniquely disheartening about realizing the people you care about don't seem interested in your life. Whether it's loved ones who don't ask about your day or friends who gloss over your stories, this lack of interest can make you feel unseen and undervalued. But here's the truth. You have the power to change the narrative by how you share and connect. Start by reflecting on how you present your experiences. Are you hesitant, unsure, or dismissive of your own stories? Sometimes we downplay our lives because we don't want to seem boastful or burdensome. But here's the key. Confidence invites curiosity. When you share your journey with enthusiasm and self-assurance, you naturally draw others in. Instead of saying, "Oh, it's nothing special, but I did this," try framing your story in a way that highlights your excitement. "I've been working on something I'm really proud of. Want to hear about it?" Another powerful strategy is to encourage reciprocal sharing. Genuine connections thrive on mutual interest. If you want others to take an interest in your life, show interest in theirs. Ask thoughtful, open-ended questions that invite deeper conversations. For example, what's been the highlight of your week? Or what's something exciting you're looking forward to? This not only builds rapport, but also subtly sets the tone for them to reciprocate by asking about your life. Sometimes a lack of interest stems from distraction, not disinterest. In today's fast-paced world, people often have their minds elsewhere, even during conversations. If this happens, gently redirect their focus. For instance, if someone interrupts or seems disengaged, you might say, "I'd really love your input on this. It's important to me." This reminds them to be present and shows that your experiences matter. However, it's also important to recognize when relationships lack depth or mutual care. If someone consistently shows no interest in your life despite your efforts, it may reflect a deeper imbalance in the relationship. In these cases, consider whether this connection truly serves your well-being. You deserve relationships where you're not just heard, but valued. Another powerful tool is to find spaces where your voice resonates. Join groups, communities, or circles where people share similar interests or values. These environments often foster deeper connections because they're built on shared enthusiasm and mutual respect. When you surround yourself with people who appreciate and engage with your stories, it reinforces your self-worth and reminds you that your life matters. Finally, understand that your value doesn't depend on others' interest. While it's natural to crave acknowledgement, your life is meaningful whether or not someone else sees it. Focus on living authentically and celebrating your journey. When you radiate confidence and joy, people are naturally drawn to your energy, and genuine interest often follows. Remember, connections are built, not given. By sharing confidently, showing curiosity about others, and seeking spaces where you're truly appreciated, you can transform feelings of neglect into opportunities for deeper, more fulfilling relationships. Your story matters. Don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you otherwise. Speak your truth boldly, and the right people will listen. 4. Surface-level interactions. Foster depth and build meaningful connections. Have you ever left a conversation feeling as though it barely scratched the surface? Maybe it was filled with small talk, polite smiles, or obligatory pleasantries, but nothing meaningful. Surface-level interactions can leave you feeling disconnected, even in the company of others. But here's the good news. You have the power to steer your relationships toward deeper, more fulfilling connections. Start by leading the way in vulnerability and authenticity. People often keep conversations shallow because they fear judgment or rejection. By sharing something a bit more personal or thoughtful, you set the tone for a deeper exchange. For example, instead of saying, "Work has been fine," try, "Work has been challenging lately, but I've learned something valuable about myself through it." This small shift invites others to respond with more than just a surface-level remark. It encourages mutual openness. Another strategy is to ask thoughtful, open-ended questions that go beyond the usual small talk. Instead of the standard, "How are you?" or "What's new?" try questions like, "What's something you're really excited about right now? What's a challenge you've overcome recently? What's been inspiring you lately?" These questions signal genuine curiosity, creating a safe space for meaningful dialogue. It's also important to practice active listening. When someone shares something with you, resist the urge to jump in with advice or your own experiences. Instead, give them your full attention, make eye contact, nod, and respond thoughtfully. Simple phrases like, "Tell me more," or "That sounds really interesting. How did you feel about that?" show that you value what they're saying. The more people feel heard, the more likely they are to open up. If you find that certain relationships consistently stay shallow despite your efforts, reflect on whether the other person is ready for deeper connection. Not everyone seeks the same level of depth in relationships, and that's okay. Focus your energy on building meaningful connections with those who share your desire for authenticity and growth. Also, consider how you spend time together. Shared experiences often pave the way for richer conversations. Whether it's working on a project, exploring a new hobby, or having a quiet moment over coffee, these shared moments naturally encourage deeper exchanges. Finally, be patient with the process. Deep relationships aren't built overnight. They require time, trust, and consistent effort. By showing up authentically and encouraging open dialogue, you plant the seeds of meaningful connection that will grow with care and attention. Remember, meaningful relationships start with meaningful interactions. When you approach your conversations with sincerity, curiosity, and a willingness to share, you create a ripple effect of authenticity. Depth invites depth, and over time, you'll find yourself surrounded by connections that nourish your soul, not just fill your time. 5. Frequent interruptions or distractions assert your worth and command presence. Few things are as frustrating as being constantly interrupted or feeling like people aren't fully present when you're speaking. Whether it's someone glancing at their phone mid-conversation or cutting you off before you've finished your thought, these moments can feel dismissive and devaluing. But here's the truth. You have the ability to shift this dynamic and command the attention and respect you deserve. Start by valuing your own voice. If you let interruptions slide or brush them off with silence, you unintentionally signal that your thoughts aren't important. Instead, assert yourself calmly but firmly when interrupted. A simple statement like, "Let me finish my thought, and then I'd love to hear what you think," sets a clear boundary without being confrontational. It reminds others that your perspective matters and deserves to be heard. Equally important is your non-verbal communication. Your posture, eye contact, and tone of voice all contribute to how others perceive you. Stand or sit upright, maintain steady eye contact, and speak with a clear, confident tone. These subtle cues signal that you're engaged, present, and expect the same in return. People are more likely to respect your words when you project confidence through your presence. If distractions are the issue, like someone frequently checking their phone or seeming disengaged, redirect their focus respectfully. For example, you might say, "I'd really appreciate your full attention. This is important to me." This not only draws their attention back, but also subtly reinforces the value of what you're sharing. Often, people don't realize how their behavior affects the conversation until it's pointed out. However, it's also essential to pick your battles. Some interruptions or distractions may not stem from disrespect, but from habit or situational factors. In these cases, approach the issue with understanding, but remain clear about your expectations. For example, if a colleague often interrupts during meetings, you might say privately, "I noticed we sometimes overlap in discussions. Let's make sure we both get a chance to share our thoughts fully." At the same time, model the behavior you want to see. Be an attentive listener yourself, avoiding interruptions and giving others your full focus. When you show respect for their words, you set the standard for how conversations should flow. Respect is reciprocal. What you give, you're more likely to receive. Lastly, recognize when frequent interruptions are a pattern in certain relationships. If someone repeatedly dismisses or talks over you despite your efforts, it may be a sign that they don't fully respect your input. In such cases, reflect on whether that relationship aligns with your values and needs. You deserve to be surrounded by people who value and honor your voice. Remember, your words matter. When you assert your worth and maintain your composure, you teach others how to treat you. Whether it's through clear communication, confident presence, or respectful boundaries, you can transform moments of interruption into opportunities to command the attention you deserve. Your voice is powerful. Don't let anyone diminish it. 6. Unequal effort in relationships. Value yourself and seek mutual balance. There's a unique kind of exhaustion that comes from relationships where you're the one always reaching out, making plans, or offering support, only to receive little in return. Unequal effort can leave you feeling unappreciated, undervalued, and emotionally drained. But here's the truth. You have the power to redefine your relationships and prioritize mutual care. Start by assessing the balance in your relationships. Take a step back and ask yourself, am I always the one initiating? Am I receiving the same level of care and attention I give? Recognizing the imbalance is the first step toward addressing it. Remember, relationships should feel like a partnership, not a one-sided obligation. Once you've identified the dynamics, set boundaries that reflect your worth. If you're constantly overextending yourself, it's time to pause and recalibrate. Begin by limiting how often you initiate or give without receiving. For example, if you're always the one checking in, try stepping back and observing whether the other person reaches out. This isn't about playing games, it's about creating space for reciprocity. Next, communicate your feelings honestly and constructively. Sometimes, the imbalance isn't intentional. The other person may simply be unaware of how their behavior affects you. Share your perspective with clarity and compassion. For instance, you might say, "I've noticed that I've been putting a lot of effort into staying connected, and I'd love for us to share that effort more equally." This opens the door for a collaborative solution without assigning blame. It's also important to redirect your energy toward relationships that nourish you. When you invest in people who genuinely value your time and care, you'll feel a renewed sense of connection and support. Surround yourself with individuals who show up for you, just as you show up for them. These relationships remind you of your worth and make you less reliant on one-sided connections. At the same time, don't be afraid to let go of relationships that consistently take more than they give. While it's natural for effort to fluctuate during life's ups and downs, a pattern of consistent imbalance signals a lack of mutual respect. Letting go isn't a loss. It's an act of self-respect, creating room for healthier, more fulfilling connections. Lastly, prioritize yourself. Engage in activities, passions, and self-care that bring you joy and fulfillment outside of your relationships. When you build a strong foundation within yourself, you become less dependent on others for validation and more confident in seeking relationships that align with your values. Remember, relationships are strongest when effort flows both ways. By valuing your contributions and setting clear boundaries, you teach others how to treat you, and when mutual respect and care are present, your relationships become sources of strength, not stress. You deserve connections that uplift and energize you. Never settle for less. 7. Lack of support during tough times. Build a resilient support system. Few things are as isolating as going through a difficult time and realizing that those you thought you could lean on aren't there for you. Whether it's silence when you need encouragement or indifference. When you seek understanding, the absence of support can feel like a betrayal. But here's the truth. Your strength isn't defined by who stands beside you. It's built by how you rise, regardless of who's there. The first step is to acknowledge your feelings. It's natural to feel hurt or disappointed when support is lacking. Instead of suppressing those emotions, allow yourself to process them. Journaling or reflecting can help you understand what you're feeling and why it affects you so deeply. But don't stop there. Channel those emotions into action. You are capable of creating the support you need, even if it looks different than what you initially expected. Start by broadening your support network. If certain friends or family members can't provide the encouragement you need, reach out to others who can. Sometimes the best allies come from unexpected places, a co-worker who listens, a community group that shares your experiences, or even professional support through a therapist or counselor. Building a diverse network ensures you're not reliant on a single person or group for emotional support. It's also essential to communicate your needs clearly. People often don't realize how their absence or indifference impacts you. Be honest about what you're going through and how they can help. For instance, you might say, "I've been struggling with this situation, and it would mean a lot to me if you could listen or check in occasionally." This approach invites support without placing blame, creating an opportunity for deeper connection. At the same time, focus on your own resilience. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength comes from within. While external support is valuable, your ability to face challenges independently is a testament to your inner power. Practice self-care, lean into your passions, and remind yourself of past obstacles you've overcome. Every challenge you face alone strengthens your confidence and self-reliance. It's also important to recognize when a lack of support is a pattern in certain relationships. If someone consistently fails to show up during your tough times, it may reflect their limitations rather than your worth. In these cases, consider whether the relationship aligns with your needs and values. Letting go of one-sided connections creates space for healthier, more supportive relationships to flourish. Finally, celebrate the support you do have, even if it's just a few people or your own unwavering determination. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, reinforcing the strength and resources you already possess. Remember, you are not defined by who is or isn't there for you. True resilience comes from knowing that you can navigate life's storms, even when the path feels lonely. By building a broader support network, communicating your needs, and cultivating inner strength, you empower yourself to face any challenge with grace and determination. You are stronger than you think, and your ability to rise is proof of your unshakable spirit. 8. Exclusion from private moments. Create inclusion without compromising yourself. Being excluded from meaningful private moments, whether it's family gatherings, close friends' plans, or intimate conversations, can sting deeply. It can make you feel sidelined, questioning your place in the lives of those you care about. But here's the reality. Your worth isn't tied to the spaces you're invited into. It's defined by how you navigate those moments with confidence and grace. The first step is to understand the situation without jumping to conclusions. Exclusion isn't always intentional. Sometimes it's due to oversight, miscommunication, or circumstances beyond your control. Before assuming malice or neglect, give the benefit of the doubt. Approach the situation with curiosity instead of hurt, asking yourself, is this an intentional slight, or could there be another explanation? If you sense there's room for growth in the relationship, take initiative to create opportunities for connection. Instead of waiting to be included, foster inclusive moments yourself. For example, if family members often gather without inviting you, suggest hosting the next get-together at your place. By stepping forward as a unifier, you shift the dynamic and show that you're invested in strengthening the bond. At the same time, express your feelings with clarity and respect. Sometimes, people don't realize how their actions or inactions impact you. A simple conversation like, "I'd love to be more involved in these moments. It's important to me," can open the door for better understanding and future inclusion. Your honesty invites deeper connections while maintaining your dignity. However, not every exclusion is worth addressing. In some cases, being left out can reflect the natural ebb and flow of relationships rather than a personal slight. Instead of focusing on what you're missing, redirect your energy towards spaces where you're valued and included. Seek out friendships and communities that celebrate your presence and prioritize your involvement. The people who genuinely value you will naturally make room for you in their lives. It's also worth considering that exclusion can sometimes be a blessing in disguise. Not every private moment is worth being part of, especially if the dynamic is negative or draining. Protecting your energy and prioritizing relationships that uplift you is far more valuable than forcing yourself into spaces that don't align with your well-being. Lastly, invest in your own sense of belonging. Solitude can be a powerful tool for self-reflection and growth. When you're at peace with yourself, the sting of exclusion diminishes and your sense of self-worth becomes unshakable. Cultivate hobbies, passions, and activities that bring you joy, creating a life that feels full and meaningful, regardless of others' actions. Remember, your value isn't determined by the invitations you receive. It's defined by how you show up for yourself and the relationships that truly matter. By fostering inclusivity, expressing your feelings, and focusing on spaces where you're genuinely appreciated, you'll build connections that are deeper, stronger, and more fulfilling. And those who fail to include you, that's their loss, not yours. You deserve to be part of moments that add value to your life, and you have the power to create them. 9. Frequent criticism or dismissal. Set boundaries and protect your self-worth. Constant criticism or feeling dismissed in conversations can chip away at your self-esteem and leave you questioning your worth. Whether it's a colleague undermining your ideas, a friend who always has something negative to say, or a family member who dismisses your feelings, These patterns can be emotionally exhausting, but here's the truth. You are not obligated to absorb negativity or tolerate disrespect. The first step is to recognize the pattern for what it is. Ask yourself, is this person offering constructive feedback, or is their criticism meant to belittle or control? Constructive feedback helps you grow, while dismissive or unwarranted criticism often reflects the other person's insecurities or biases. By identifying the intention behind their words, you can respond more effectively. When faced with frequent criticism, set clear boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. For example, if someone constantly interrupts or dismisses you during conversations, calmly address it by saying, "I'd like to finish my point before we move on. I feel it's important to be heard." Setting these boundaries communicates your self-respect and reminds others that their words have consequences. It's also essential to detach emotionally from unnecessary negativity. Remember, what others say about you often reveals more about them than it does about you. Instead of internalizing their criticism, ask yourself, does this reflect who I truly am, or is this their projection? Detachment allows you to maintain your sense of self-worth, even in the face of unwarranted negativity. At the same time, choose when to engage and when to let go. Not every comment deserves a response, especially if it's coming from someone who thrives on conflict or putting others down. In these cases, walking away or changing the subject can be a powerful way to protect your energy. Silence isn't weakness. It's often a sign of strength and control. To balance this, seek environments and relationships where your voice is valued and respected. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you, rather than those who constantly bring you down. Positive connections remind you of your worth and help counterbalance the effects of negativity. If the criticism comes from someone close to you and affects your relationship, consider having an open, honest conversation. Express how their words make you feel without being confrontational. For example, when you frequently point out flaws, it makes me feel undervalued. I'd appreciate more constructive feedback or support instead. This creates an opportunity for understanding and change. Finally, focus on affirming your own value. Practice self-compassion and remind yourself of your strengths and achievements. Journaling, meditation, or even listing things you're proud of can help reinforce your self-esteem. When you have a strong sense of self, external criticism holds less power over you. Remember, criticism doesn't define you, your response to it does. By setting boundaries, detaching from negativity, and seeking supportive environments, you can navigate these challenges with confidence and resilience. Your worth isn't up for debate, and no one has the power to take it away unless you let them. Choose to protect your peace, honor your voice, and stand firm in your value. 10. Reluctance to celebrate your achievements. Celebrate yourself and inspire others. Few things are as discouraging as achieving something meaningful and feeling like those around you aren't genuinely happy for you. Whether it's subtle indifference, lukewarm responses, or outright reluctance to acknowledge your success, it can leave you wondering, am I asking for too much just to be celebrated? But here's the truth. Your achievements are worthy of celebration, regardless of others' reactions. The first step is to recognize that your success is about you, not their response. Sometimes, people's reluctance to celebrate stems from their own insecurities or struggles. Your achievements might remind them of what they haven't accomplished or highlight areas where they feel lacking. Understanding this can help you detach from their reaction and realize it's not a reflection of your worth or the significance of your success. Next, celebrate yourself confidently and unapologetically. Share your milestones in ways that feel authentic to you. Whether it's treating yourself to something special, taking a moment to reflect on how far you've come, or sharing your accomplishment with people who genuinely support you, these acts reinforce your self-worth. You don't need external validation to feel proud of what you've achieved. If you want to engage others, share your success with the right people, those who uplift and encourage you. Surround yourself with individuals who genuinely value your growth and want to see you thrive. These are the people who will cheer for you, not because they're obligated to, but because they truly care. It's also worth considering how you present your achievements. Celebrate with humility and gratitude, not boastfulness. When you share your wins with grace, you're more likely to inspire admiration rather than envy. For example, instead of saying, "Look at how amazing I did," try, "I'm really proud of this accomplishment. It means a lot to me." This approach invites others to share in your joy rather than feel threatened by it. At the same time, don't let others' indifference diminish your enthusiasm. If someone downplays your achievement or fails to acknowledge it, that's a reflection of them, not you. Resist the urge to shrink your joy to match their reaction. Your success deserves to shine, no matter who recognizes it. Finally, use your achievements to inspire others. Share the lessons you've learned, the obstacles you've overcome, and the mindset that helped you succeed. By framing your success as a story of growth and perseverance, you not only celebrate yourself, but also encourage others to pursue their own goals. Remember, you don't need permission to celebrate your accomplishments. The fact that you worked hard, stayed committed, and reached your goal is reason enough. Let your achievements be a source of pride, motivation, and inspiration for yourself and for those who truly matter in your life. In the end, celebration isn't about applause. It's about gratitude and self-respect. Honor your efforts, cherish your wins, and keep moving forward with confidence. You've earned this moment. Own it fully and unapologetically. As we've explored in this episode, feeling overlooked or unappreciated can be deeply challenging, but it's also an opportunity, a chance to reflect, reset, and reclaim your power. You are not defined by how others perceive you or how they treat you. Your worth is inherent, unshakable, and entirely yours to nurture. By addressing the subtle ways relationships can make you feel unwelcome, you've taken the first step toward creating healthier dynamics. Whether it's setting boundaries, fostering deeper connections, or celebrating your achievements unapologetically, these changes start with you. When you value yourself, you teach others to value you too. It's important to remember that not everyone will meet you with the same energy or respect. And that's okay. Your journey isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about building relationships that align with your values and support your growth. Let go of what doesn't serve you and focus on the people, actions, and environments that truly uplift and empower you. Take a moment to reflect on the steps we've discussed today. What resonated most with you? How can you start implementing these changes in your life right now? Remember, it's not about changing others. It's about changing how you show up for yourself. Your confidence, self-respect, and resilience will transform not just your relationships, but your entire life. Thank you for joining me in this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If this episode inspired you, share it with someone who might need these insights, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful tools to help you thrive. Until next time, stand tall, honor your worth, and never forget, you are enough.